Hello everyone, welcome back to another lesson from Nursing with Jemmy. So in this video, we are going to learn about the respiratory system. In this lesson, I am going to discuss about the anatomy and physiology of the respiratory system, the gas exchange taking place in the respiratory system, the respiratory regulation process, and the functions of the respiratory system. So let's start. This is the diagrammatic representation of the respiratory system. Respiratory system is the most vital organ in human body. We breathe about 16,000 to 24,000 times per day with the exchange of 11,000 liter of air with atmosphere. The respiratory system supports pulmonary ventilation, external and internal respiration, olfaction and phonation. Now what happens in the respiratory system is the oxygen in the atmospheric air is taken inside the body, which is delivered to the tissue, whereas the carbon dioxide produced by the human body is sent back to lungs. Let's move on to the anatomy and physiology of the respiratory system. As you all can see, the human respiratory system has two parts, the upper respiratory tract and the lower respiratory tract. First, we'll see about the upper respiratory tract. The upper respiratory system consists of nasal cavity, pharynx, and larynx. The main function of the upper respiratory tract is to receive the air from the external environment, filter it, warm it, humidify it before it reaches to the lungs where gas exchange occurs. Air enters through the nostrils of the nose and is partially filtered by the nose hair. Then it flows into the nasal cavity. The nasal cavity is lined with the epithelial tissue containing blood vessels which helps to warm the air and secrete mucus which further filters the air. The endothelial lining of the nasal cavity also contains hair-like projection called as cilia. The cilia serves to transport dust and other foreign particles trapped in mucus to the back of the nasal cavity and to the pharynx. There, the mucus is either coughed off, swallowed, or digested by the powerful stomach acid. After passing through the nasal cavity, the air flows down to the pharynx, then to the larynx. The larynx has a complex function that serves as a dual function as an air canal to the lung and as an organ of phonation. This is all about upper respiratory system. Now let's move on to the lower respiratory system. Lower respiratory system consists of trachea, bronchioles, bronchi and lungs. The trachea is a cartilaginous tube that connects the larynx to the bronchi of the lungs. The trachea extends from the larynx and branches into two primary bronchi. The bronchi are the air passage that arises from the end of the trachea. The bronchi divide and redivide to form bronchioles. There are two lungs in the human body which is located in the thoracic cavity. The first one is right lung, the second one is left lung. The right lung has three lobes, whereas the left lung has two lobes. There are many alveoli inside each lung. The alveoli are air sacs that are surrounded by the network of blood vessels that help in gas exchange. Now we will learn about how the gas exchange takes place. When we inhale, the air containing oxygen enters through nose and mouth. When we exhale, the carbon dioxide is exhaled out through the nose and mouth. This process of air movement from in and out is called as pulmonary ventilation. During normal inhalation, the diaphragm and the external intercostal muscles contract and the rib cage elevates, allowing the air to get inside. But during exhalation, the muscle relaxes and the air is expelled out. During inhalation, air flows into the lungs through bronchi and bronchioles. Oxygen from the air is then absorbed into the bloodstream. It passes through millions of microscopic sac, the alveoli, into surrounding capillaries, whereas the carbon dioxide just diffuses the opposite way from the capillaries to the alveoli. Now, the bloodstream delivers the oxygen to the cells and removes the carbon dioxide through the process of internal respiration. In this respiration process, RBCs carry oxygen absorbed from the lungs around the body through vasculature. When oxygenated blood reaches the narrow capillaries, the RBC starts releasing oxygen. It diffuses through the capillary walls into body tissues. Meanwhile, what carbon dioxide does is carbon dioxide diffuses from the tissue into RBCs and plasma. The deoxygenated blood carries the carbon dioxide back to the lungs for release. Now let's see how breathing is regulated by our brain. Respiration is an involuntary function. Nerve impulses are transmitted by the pons and the medulla oblongata to the respiratory center. The rate of breathing which is considered to be normal is 12 to 15 breaths per minute. The body has got a unique nature to adjust the rate and depth depending upon the metabolic needs. When the body uses more oxygen, chemoreceptors sense the brain and that leads to increase in breathing rate. There are certain activities which alters the breathing pattern for a short period of time. Now let's move on to the functions of the respiratory system. The first function is inhalation and exhalation. That is, the movement of air in and out is called as pulmonary ventilation. Next one is external respiration. Exchange of gases. The lungs, the respiratory system helps in the exchange of gases between the lungs and the bloodstream. The third one is internal respiration, exchange of gases between the bloodstream and the body tissues. The fourth one is phonation, the creation of sound by the structure in upper respiratory tract. What is phonation? When we exhale, air passes from the lungs through the larynx. When we speak, muscles in the larynx move the arytenoid cartilages. There is something called as arytenoid cartilages. The arytenoid cartilages push the vocal cords together. When the cords are pushed together, air passing between them makes them vibrate, creating sound. The last function of the respiratory system is olfaction. The process of olfaction begins with the olfactory fiber that lines the nasal cavities inside the nose. So once the air enters the cavities, there is activation of the nervous system receptors on the cilia. The stimulus is sent to the brain where the neurons take the signal from the nasal cavities through the openings in the ethmoid bone and then to the olfactory bulb, from there to the cranial nerve 1. Olfaction is the sense of smell. So I hope I could make you understand the process behind the working of respiratory system. If you liked my video, please like and share and subscribe. Thank you.